Welcome to Brand You,
the ultimate personal branding podcast.
I'm Kaz Grant.
And I'm Toby Lee.
Together, we're here to help demystify personal branding
and to make it accessible and effective for everyone.
Follow along as we guide you through creating your own personal branding journeys.
So, let's get started.
Let's brand you. So, hello everyone, and welcome to a very special edition of the Brand You podcast. You can probably see behind us, we're not in the usual studio setup. Now, whenever you see us like this in the future, that's because we're going to be coming to you to do a special guest episode. So we're going to be interviewing lots of people throughout this podcast journey who are experts in their field, and we're going to tie it all into personal branding. So you're getting so much value, all-round value about personal branding. So today's special guest, we've got the wonderful Michelle Wright, and she is a colour and personal style expert. So I thought this would be a brilliant person to talk to, and also like insight into personal branding and kind of how we can dress to make the most out of our personal brands as well.
I'm very excited on a personal level from a photography point of view to kind of hear what you've got to say today, because I'll no doubt be rewriting all my tips and advice that go out to my clients when they book in with some wardrobe tips. But first of all, do you want to just kind of introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about what it is that you do. How do you help your clients? And what are the pain points they also kind of have as well? Why do they come to you in the first place?
Okay, yeah. I'm Michelle. I'm Mrs Stylewright. I'm in the business of making people feel fabulous in what they're wearing. I'm there to help people build up their confidence, to help them feel like they're them again. A lot of my clients have sort of lost their way, or they've opened their wardrobe up and gone, I haven't got a clue. It's all about building up that confidence and making you feel amazing. It's better to walk into a room, whether that's, you're at work, you've got a client meeting, whether you're networking, or whether you're going to a party, whatever it is, you can walk in that room and just feel like, yeah, I own this, I feel good.
That's awesome. And I was just chatting to Kaz before we came on air that I was getting my gym gear ready for later on, because at 5 o'clock when I finish work, I'll jump straight in the car, go to the gym. And I probably spent more time thinking about what I'm going to wear to the gym than what I do going to like a meeting or whatever. Because I was trying to analyze this ahead of coming on here and to chat with you, because I guess for me, it's kind of like that example is I feel like I'll perform better if I'm in clothes that I'm going to feel confident in. And is that sort of exactly what you're sort of trying to achieve with your clients?
Yeah, that's exactly true. That, we've all had that feeling when we've gone somewhere and we've got there and thought, I don't like my outfit. Or, you just feel all wrong, don't you? And it's a horrible feeling. And if you're stuck in it all day, it's just like, oh God, you just don't feel comfortable in your own skin. It's all about that, really.
Yeah. And I think like what you said at the beginning as well, is like, over the span of our lifetimes, like we change so much, don't we? That maybe in our 20s, we were really confident with the fashion and what we were wearing, and we were experimenting, we were trying all of this. And then maybe, I don't know, personal circumstances change, and then you get a bit older and you maybe like lose that kind of zest for it. And then you need to have a bit of a reinvention and a bit of a rejig with it and think, how do I want to be perceived now?
Everything changes, throughout your whole perception of how you look. And, you could be giving birth, it could be bereavement, got anything, absolutely anything. And I say that when I do people's colours, I analyse people's colours as well, is I also do their personalities as well. And often as you get older, they don't match. Because you might have, for example, a spring palette is somebody who's quite vivacious and quite chatty, centre of attention, that kind of thing. And it's all big and bright colours. But quite often, the spring person, their colours are big and bright, whatever, but actually they might have a more of a summer personality, who's someone who's quieter, who's a bit more reserved and a bit more, and takes a sort of a back seat. But that's because, stuff has happened, life has happened, and they've kind of gone, taken a step back. And that often happens. Often.
That's really interesting. I'd not thought about sort of like the colours of you, what represent you, kind of changing, because of course we change as we go through life. And I sort of recommend, when people are talking to me about photos and how often should I update them, it's kind of like, well, when you do update them, you'll probably realise how far away your old photo was from where you are now. And yeah, that's interesting then. So can you do a little colour analysis on us now, or is that something you need a bit more time to prep? Or say like, so I really love these kind of shades of blue, kind of, you know, I won't say they're too bold.
I can't do it because we're online.
Yeah.
It does distort the colours, so
Fair,
I can't really do that. However, I could say somebody who is drawn to blue, to wearing blue, for example, that's someone who you can depend on, someone who's trustworthy, good communicator. It's a very good colour for interviews, that kind of thing, good for public speaking.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yes,
that's so interesting because Toby, that like ties into your brand totally.
That's definitely what I want to try and represent, and so that's it's really interesting. That
the only thing is with blue is it can be perceived as being a little bit boring.
Yeah. that also works for me.
But you mix it up with a bit of white, which livens it up a little bit, and so that's how you get. If you wore head to toe sort of navy, you might be a bit dull. But
I mean,
there's nothing wrong with that, by the way. But it could be perceived like that. And then I don't feel. Is your top purple or pink? I can't really tell, Kaz.
It's like a pink. I'd say a hot pink is usually a colour that I'm seeing in. I don't know what hot pink is.
So hot pink is good. Hot pink. So pink generally is kind of a sort of nurturing, sort of a hug in a colour kind of thing. However, that's more geared to sort of the paler pinks. When you go sort of towards the sort of the hot pinks of fuchsias, you're sort of heading on down the red route. The red stuff is quite powerful, quite confident, can be seen as quite aggressive. But if you go down sort of the pinkier side of things, you're getting that powerfulness, that confidence, but with that softness of the pink.
Nice.
That is so really interesting, isn't it? And like, how many people out there don't realise like the colours that they're wearing, how that's perceived by other people as well? Because when we're talking about personal branding, we're obviously curating a personal brand. You want to think about your ideal audience and how you're perceived by them. Absolutely. So this is where colours and sorting out your personal style kind of comes into play, doesn't it? Because some things might be what you like, but then maybe not what resonates with your ideal audience. But then I guess it's finding a balance between your audience and you. Is that right?
Absolutely, because you have to be yourself.
Yeah.
Absolutely have to be yourself. And it's that thing which we said before, walking into a room wearing the wrong thing, feeling awkward. Well, you will feel awkward if it's not your style. If it's not your style, your colour, it's not what you like, then, everything's off. So actually, it is creating that balance, but that's it. But the colours that you wear will give out a message subconsciously, and so colour is really important when it comes to.
And am I right, Michelle? When you have like a colour analysis, you don't just get like one colour that is your colour. Like there'll be a few different colours. So actually, out of that spectrum of colours, there will be something your audience and you.
Yeah. There's so many colours, and there'll be different different sort of levels of that shade. Like might have like a bright yellow, then also like a sort of much more mellow yellow. But also, what having a colour analysis gives you, it almost gives you license to wear colours outside of your palette, because it's that confidence that it gives you. Mm-hmm. So you can go, right, do you know what? I know this isn't great here, but I can wear it as trousers, or I can wear it, somewhere else that's further away from my face, or just gives you a little bit more, almost gives you more freedom. People think it's going to be restrictive, but it really isn't. It really isn't.
Yeah. And I've been guilty of that in the past. Actually, I've worn a lot of like plain colours on the bottom. So easy, like jeans, black trousers, boom. That that's the bottom for me. Yeah, and then a nice top. But actually, it's thinking about flipping it, and what it's not only the top, it's the bottom as well, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the whole ensemble.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine it's very liberating, like working with you and being told, here's some colours that you might not have considered before. Yeah, and actually stepping out to go to something social in those colours for the first time might be really nerve-wracking. But as soon as you walk in, someone might go, wow, look at you.
Yeah. The thing is, you don't, it doesn't have to be done in a big way. Your first time, if I say that orange is your colour, you might go, oh, holy crap, I don't want to wear orange. Sure. But, you introduce it in a print, or you wear it as a tie, or you wear it as a scarf, or whatever, it doesn't have to be like in your face. You just build it up. But then, as a few more people say, oh, wow, that looks great on you, the more confidence you get.
Love that.
Brilliant.
So we spoke a little bit, Michelle, about authenticity and like you've got to be you.
Mm-hmm.
I think in 2024, it's an interesting time we're living in, isn't it? When we think about like the professional clothing that used to be worn, and when you're creating your personal brand, you want to put across a professional image to the world. Now there's a bit more fluidity to it, isn't there? Because actually being professional, you don't have to just wear a suit.
Right.
Like what's the kind of thing on that nowadays? Like,
I think it's much more up to you what you wear, that you can actually inject a lot more of your personality into what you wear for work. I think it's more about dressing for your job, what you do. So, for example, if you are a personal trainer, you don't need to rock up wearing a suit because that's kind of a bit off. It doesn't quite work with what you do. It's more about that kind of thing, I think, really. I think, and I know that people find that difficult sometimes because I think a lot of people like the suit because it's a bit of a uniform, and I understand that. And people can absolutely wear a suit to work if that's what they want to do, because that might actually be who they are. But it's also, you've got to think about who are you trying to attract in. If you want someone to perceive you as being, like you were saying before, Toby, about being professional and so on, well, perhaps you need to be a bit smarter or whatever. It's a lot more fluid, which I understand makes things a bit more of a minefield, but it does mean you get the opportunity to inject a bit of you into every day. You wear these clothes every day, so
Yeah, I find I kind of dress for the company I'm in. So if that is a more corporate setting that I'm working in, then I will put a shirt on, but still try and find maybe a blue shirt or something that I'm, like you say, I feel comfortable in and is part of my wardrobe. It is interesting on sort of like that formality of a suit, because I think a lot of people, for them, it answers a lot of questions in the morning of what they put on, and it's easy for them to kind of, they don't have to worry about what they're wearing. They just grab a shirt, grab a tie combo and get out there, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Would you say there's still lots you can be doing to kind of vary and represent yourself if you're in quite a formal or even a uniform job? Or
yeah, no, I think so, because you can, there's always ways you can get around it. You can, if you have to be wearing a tie, make it an interesting tie. It doesn't have to be boring and plain navy or whatever. Things like pocket squares or cufflinks, your socks.
yeah,
If you have to wear a uniform, what about your jewelry? What about with nails, makeup, or there's different ways to inject personality. Just because you're wearing, that's just your base, isn't it? It's the other little bits and pieces that you add into it that makes it all you.
So yeah, Michelle, quite interested to know kind of how you got into this stylist role, and also like how your confidence has changed through clothing over the years as well. Like, tell us more about that.
Well, I've ever since I was a very little girl, I've been interested in clothes. My mum will tell you that she couldn't dress me from being about age 2. I knew what I wanted to wear. And I went through and I went and did a fashion marketing degree. By the end of it, I hated fashion. When I say fashion, I hated fashion, as in like designer. I felt it was all a bit fake, whatever. And I went down the marketing route instead. But I always still continue to really, really like clothes, and I love people and chatting and so on. But then I stopped work and I looked after my 3 kids. And that's when everything went to pot, really, in terms of my fashion sense. I was that person in baggy leggings and an oversized cardigan, and not because oversized was trendy. It was just because that's what I've had on my floor. I was that person, and I would look at other people and think, "Oh, that's really nice. I really like that." But I lost all my confidence, so I know what it's like to feel rubbish about yourself, and wish things were a bit different. And then sort of fast forward to COVID times, and my youngest started secondary school, and it was a bit like, oh, what am I going to do with my life? and I was bored because it was COVID. I wasn't working. I had nothing to do, and there was a group on Facebook, and there was all these ladies that were finding this group as like a safe space to say, oh God, I don't know what to do with myself. I need you know, I've put weight on, I've lost weight, I don't know who I am anymore, blah, blah, blah. And I just sat there giving out advice. I was sofa styling. I thought, I can do this. I know what and then that meant I had to do it for myself. So, and I just somehow, out of the dregs of nowhere, found some sort of inner confidence and just thought, I don't know whether it was my age or something. I just sort of thought, sod this. I'm going to wear what I want to wear, how I want to wear it, and just give it a go. And then I did a styling course with London College of Style. I did the styling course and I did the colour course, and I just started my business and just went, okay. So you can do it. You just really have to have that big dose of don't give a shit. I knew there would be people that were a bit like, who do you think she is? But they're not my people.
And did that turning point come for you before you'd started sort of, thinking about what you're wearing, or did it come from doing it and being in action with it, if that makes sense?
I think in my head, I'd wanted to do it for a long time, but I kind of daren't.
Yeah.
Or just didn't have the, confidence, I suppose. Yeah. I just didn't feel in the right place to do it. And then I think COVID and so on, it almost gave everyone like a level playing field.
Yeah.
So you just thought that, do you know what? Life's too short, literally. I'm going to go and do this. And so I've been on that journey myself. What I wore in 2020 compared to what I'm wearing now is quite different. I have my colours done. I'm the spring, and bright colours and so on are for me. But I was a bit like, oh, crikey, I can't wear that. But the more you do it, the easier it gets, the more confident you get. So yeah, my advice would just give it away. The world isn't going to fall off its axis if you wear a yellow top. It's
No, it's just interesting, isn't it? How like sometimes in life, like these big things have to happen in order for us to have these wake ups. Like a lot of the people during the pandemic have probably had these changes, and maybe there's still people from that haven't found the confidence or made that change yet, but there's still fallout from that, isn't there?
Yeah, definitely. I think a lot of people went the other way. They lost their confidence.
Yeah.
So they're struggling for whatever reason. And then this whole going back to work and like, oh, I can't wear that anymore because I'm allowed to wear jeans. What? And it's it has that the whole pandemic has thrown the world upside down. We all know that, but I think the fallout has been nuts.
Yeah. For me, it was divorce. Like when I'd got divorced, I looked back at, I kind of, was looking into like who I am now and what I want to do and be and all the rest of it. And then I was looking at what I was wearing. And again, I didn't feel good in any of it. It was very like plain dark colours and all the same. And I was just like, oh God, this isn't me. Again, I used to love a bit of, not fashion, again, not the fashion, but I used to love like getting dressed up and wearing certain things and wearing maybe different shoes and stuff like that. And I'd just lost that completely. So I had to find that again as well. And again, it doesn't just happen overnight, but bit of experimentation. And then there you are wearing a pink top.
Exactly. Yeah, it does. It's the big stuff, divorce. I mean, that's it. You were probably a completely different person when you were married compared to who you are now, and so that then should reflect in what you're wearing.
Yeah. So it even like when thinking about a personal brand, business changes. Like it doesn't have to be a personal circumstance change, does it? It could be your business now has pivoted into this. You now do that. You're now speaking to different people, working on a different mission, whatever that might be. So again, maybe thinking at those pivotal moments, like how do I want to change the look of what I'm portraying right now?
Yeah, making it appropriate for what you're doing now. A bit like Toby was saying, you have your corporate stuff and you have your
Well, it makes me laugh because when you mention that, Kaz, that makes me think of a photo I've got of me working in London. I used to work with actors in the entertainment industry, and there's a picture I used to use on my website. Everything, me in a flat cap, like trying to portray the ultimate kind of creative in London. Yeah, thespian, and somebody took the mick out of me for it the other day, and I said, it's funny though, you say that, but literally if you'd have come down to the pub with us, a group of 5 struggling actors and, sat around the table, we've all got flap caps on and we've all got a pint that we can't afford. But yeah, it's funny.
It's so funny how you create your own uniform, don't you? In a way, so you all sat there on your flap caps, because that's kind of your look, and
yeah. And I guess that friend thing as well, like you're some of the 5 people that you spend the most time with, but how many times do you blend in as well with your friends or your colleagues? Absolutely. And actually maybe we should step out of that a bit as well, because are we actually wanting to wear those things or not?
Yeah, and that's the question you need to ask yourself, is like, do I actually like this? How do I, is it me, or is it actually my mate Karen? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah. Is it you, Toby, or is it Karen?
Yeah, is it Karen?
Yes, it's Karen.
Love
She's restricting me.
Yeah. I also think, like, I had a question from a potential client the other day as well, when we were speaking about their personal brand and how they can kind of create the look to their personal brand. And she asked about like what to wear, and we discussed that a little bit. She said, because I wear quite casual clothes. So would I be able to kind of wear that and portray that, because I'm going for like, this industry is traditional, kind of very corporate, suited and booted kind of world. And we kind of had a bit of a discussion about it. And actually, it turned out like her ideal audience was also going to be other mums, so probably comfortable clothing. And just because her industry was like that didn't mean that she then had to dress like that to portray that. But also with her comfortable clothing, I feel like there's a lot of, again, different, you can look scruffy in comfortable clothing, or you can look really well put together if your hair's done or something, or your makeup's done, if you've got some nice jewelry. So like you're saying there, so it's a bit of a fluid way to wear different things, isn't there?
And you can dress stuff down as well. Like you can have a suit, wear it with some trainers, wear it with a t-shirt, that kind of thing. You don't have to be suited and booted. It can be a much more chilled out vibe if that's what you want. And like you said, like I was talking about the personal trainers before, this always comes to mind. I'm not expecting them to rock up in sort of leggings and a little crop top, but you can wear some sort of some elevated kind of sportswear, can't you? That's sort of smart.
Yeah.
But it's portraying yours. That's the industry that you're in.
So it is looking at your industry, but what you want to portray, and also like making it comfortable for your ideal audience as well, like that they would want to go to you, to reach out to you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I guess then also, Michelle, like if people have got a bit lost with what to wear and things like that, what are some of the steps that they could do to kind of find themselves and their style again? I mean, obviously go to somebody like yourself and get the professional help, definitely, if you could do that and afford that, or you've probably got some kind of online tools that people could potentially use at some point as well. But yeah, what would you say to those people? Like, how could they first start?
Okay, well, I mean, the colour thing is a really good start. Clearing out your wardrobe, just get rid of stuff which doesn't fit you, which needs repairing, and you haven't done it, or you just don't like anymore. Because all these things that hang in your wardrobe that you don't wear for whatever reason, they kind of taunt you, like, you're not wearing me, you feel guilty about it. And actually, all you're doing is seeing them and not seeing actually what you've got. And then what you'll be left with is the stuff that you actually really like. So then you can be able to work out then, who you are from that. I often ask people to think about a celebrity, or not even necessarily a celebrity, or someone that they know whose style that you really like.
Yeah.
So I don't want you to start copying somebody, that'd be really weird, particularly if it's someone on the school run or something, you end up, that's odd. But what is it about their style that you like? Is it that you like their sort of laid back vibe? Do you like the fact that she wears bright colours, or is it the fact that she's always really well put together? And you can then start to pull those elements together for yourself.
Yeah. That's such a great tips and ideas. And actually, like, kind of again making it fun. Like, if there's a friend that you've got, like, get them round for an evening and have a bit of a wardrobe go through, and, you know, ask them to be honest with you. Like, how does this
make sure it's a trusted friend.
trusted friend? Yeah. And then you could repay the favour and both do it to each other, and, you know, see how you feel.
Absolutely.
And then you'll really get an understanding, won't you, for what you've got that you already like. Because you might have loads of stuff actually that you've just not worn for a while, but that actually coming out of the closet again, you would actually really love and would make you feel great.
Yeah, you would. And the other things I would say is, when you're doing that whole clear out, be experimental. Try some different stuff out. You know, put that top with that bottom that you've not thought about before. You know, it might work. Maybe it doesn't, but it doesn't matter if it doesn't. If you try, you never know.
Yeah, absolutely. So then going on to the next stages. So we've had a bit of a clean out and worked out kind of what items we do love, or colours that have remained in the wardrobe might say something about us. What we've tried to do with this podcast is kind of build step by step into going through the stages of your personal brand and creating all the different elements.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to something like this, like your personal style, what advice do you have in terms of, like, should we be consistent in what we wear going out and about to networking things? Should we be consistent in our photos, or should we just be focusing on our brand colours? What sort of advice do you have on that, and how do we get started in what we decide to wear?
I mean, if people remember you, if you are consistent with what you wear, I think, or if you wear something that's, for example, whenever I go networking, I always wear some bright colours, because I always think you'll remember that person. And I think it's important to do something like that, because particularly if you're working in an industry where it's fairly saturated, so there might be 3 or 4 people in the room that do a similar thing to you. So then you can go, oh yeah, Susan, yeah, she was one in pink. You can remember, rather than, oh, they were all wearing navy suits, whatever. So I can't remember where I started going with this now. But yeah, or consistency, yes. So I think, consistency does make you remember. It can be a little bit restrictive. I think there's one person that we know, for example, she always wears her brand colours and she always looks fabulous. But she's always got to think, oh, I need to wear their colours. But when you find your personal style, you'll have a certain look anyway.
Okay, yeah.
So it's going to come eventually. It is a process. Finding your personal style is not something you're going to do overnight. It is a process. It's experimentation. It's giving it a go, throwing confidence out there, and having am I allowed to swear?
Yeah, go for it.
Have a big dollop of I don't give a shit in your wardrobe, basically. And it's a process, and you will get there. But eventually, you will have a certain look, and people will remember you for it.
Yeah.
And
do you know what? The more you stand out with colour when you walk into a room, like, again, when you might walk into that room on day one and you don't feel confident in it, the more times you do it, the more confidence you get in that, don't you?
Yeah.
And then you start owning it.
But I find that people talk to you, people are drawn to you. When you wear something that's a bit different, or a bright colour or something, people go, oh, I love that colour on you, or that's a great, oh, I would never dare wear that, or whatever it is, but it does make people talk to you.
Yeah, it's a great conversation starter, isn't it?
Really
and you
good.
stand out. I saw a post earlier, actually, one of our friends again, she put on LinkedIn earlier, in a sea of black, wear orange, because she'd gone to an event and everybody was sat down in the background wearing black, and then she's there with an orange jacket, and it's like, like, stand out, be that person.
Orange is a great colour for, like, networking and stuff. Really.
Is it? Yeah. What does orange mean?
Orange, well, it's a really good call to action colour. It's a really good doing, bright, friendly, chatty. It's just, it hits all the right boxes. It's a bit like the pink, the verging on the red, but not quite red. And also because it's quite unusual, you don't see a lot of orange.
Yeah.
So again, people remember it.
Yeah. That's all. Toby, you need to get some pinks and oranges in the mix.
I do need to break out a little bit, because when I'm thinking about my wardrobe now as we speak and what I tend to wear, and I almost feel like I've got my own kind of uniform for my photo sessions, and then maybe another uniform for a bit of a corporate outing, and then maybe like a networking event. But I probably sort of wear the same sort of 3 outfits on circulation, and probably need to mix it up a little bit.
Well, orange actually is it's blue's opposite colour, so that they make each other pop.
So you could wear blues and oranges together?
Yeah.
Ah, interesting.
Yeah.
So maybe an orange t-shirt underneath the blue and see like the reaction that gets from people. Ooh.
One day where I'm feeling extra confident. They'll remember me.
I really love that. Right, Michelle, thank you so much for all of the insights and values that you've offered our audience today. So on the Brand You podcast, we always end with an actionable step so that the guys at home can go out and actually put into place something to help with their personal brand. So is there any actionable step that you'd like people to take?
Okay, I think actually we're going to go back to the whole wardrobe thing. But I'm going to say just take 15 minutes. I mean, you won't get it all done in 15 minutes, but 15 minutes you'll be able to go through and just really quickly pull out as many things as you can. Yes, no, yes, no, yes, no.
Great. And is it important to kind of make those decisions as quickly as possible? Is it more of an impulsive?
It should be an impulsive thing, really.
Yeah.
And one of the questions you can ask yourself on this is, if I was shopping today, would I buy this?
Ooh,
interesting.
That's a great one. That is a great one. Thank you so much for that, Michelle. And we will both be doing that later today, won't we, Toby?
Absolutely. The charity shop's going to get a big visit, I think.
So we'll make sure that we pop Michelle's details in the show notes to this so that you can find Michelle. But if anybody's watching and needs them quickly, Michelle, where can people find you?
My website is www.mrsstylewright.com, or you can find me on Facebook on Mrs Stylewright Style File, or Instagram at Mrs Stylewright, or LinkedIn.
Brilliant. Well, thanks very much, Michelle. It's been awesome to have you on. Really insightful, and I know it's going to be really useful for our listeners. So that concludes the first featured episode of the Brand You podcast. We look forward to sharing more with you every 4 or 5 weeks, where we'll get another guest on giving us their expert industry insight to help you further your personal branding.
So keep following along, guys, in the Brand You community group on LinkedIn, where you can ask us lots of questions. And if you are out there with any value to give on personal branding and you'd like to be one of our guests, please do go onto that group and let us know who you are, and let's connect and chat through that. And yeah, keep following along on Spotify as well to this so that you get notifications every time an episode drops of the Brand You podcast.
And here's to branding you.